Hi, I'm Vincent Sellers, former FBI Special Agent. I'm here to talk to you about how to be an FBI agent. This is episode 4 of a 6-part mini web series. I'm also the author of Eyes Pried Open, Rookie FBI Agent, which is my true story about becoming an FBI agent and my journey in being an FBI agent on the streets of San Diego, California. So this is episode 4, phase 2 testing. This is an exciting time if you're going through the process, and I firmly believe the most critical in determining whether you're going to be an FBI agent or not. If you're somewhat lucky and definitely qualified, then you may have made it to phase 2. So beyond phase 1, you tested, you submitted your application, the more detailed one, your photo. You've got to wait, get used to that. Again, in the FBI, hurry up and wait. Again, sort of like the military. You could be waiting weeks or even months and not hear a thing. And then one day, you might get a call that says, congratulations, we want you now to undergo our phase 2 tests. This is huge because as soon as you hear those words, then that means that you have the opportunity to test one more time and then jump through the remaining hoops. But as long as you pass, you will be an FBI agent. So the odds are quickly becoming, at least maybe not in your favor, but getting close to it. The big funnel of the thousands and thousands and thousands of people is dwindling down. So at this point, you can really make your own luck. So phase 2 is an interesting process to go through and is quite intensive and intimidating. So prepare yourself. So how do you prepare? Well, phase 2 is a very different type of test. It's not just the bring a number 2 pencil and answer the questions like you did in phase 1. At this point, you're really being carefully considered by the FBI and evaluated as whether you really are FBI special agent material. So the phase 2 test is composed of 2 parts. There's a written part, and it is an essay style written test. So you're provided a scenario and you write a response to this scenario, if you will. And of course, I'm not going to divulge anything about the specifics of what your scenario might be or what mine was, but it's a fairly complicated test. It seems simple on the surface, but in hindsight, when I thought about it, there are lots of, I can see where they could get lots of information about how a person answers. A lot of what they're looking for is, can you think logically? Can you think under pressure, the pressure of taking the test? And can you write a decent sentence? Again, at the end of the day, FBI, your number one work product is what they call the FD 302, which is basically an interview form. It's a blank sheet of paper where you write up your notes when you talk to people or interview people, and that's what goes to court. Well, you need to be able to write complete sentences in the FBI. You don't have to be the best writer in the world. They don't need the next, Stephen King or Steinbeck or name your favorite author, but they do need people that are capable of writing at a, professional or a reasonably professional level for the purpose of legal documents. Okay, so phase 2 test. So part of it's written, and then the other part is oral. So congratulations, you're going to get asked questions by real-life FBI agents. When I went through the process, it was a panel of 3 agents. They had a series of questions that they asked me. Don't remember exactly how many, but I'd say roughly 15 questions. And again, I can't divulge specifically what the questions are, but I will say that they kind of span the spectrum. The best way that you can prepare for phase 2 is to practice answering common interview questions. I would suggest literally going down to your local bookstore or shop online and buy some books, do some research on doing interviews. This is a job interview. They don't care if you know what your resume is at that point. They're already interested in you. You need to show them that you are a cut above the rest and deserve to be hired as an FBI agent. Numbers wise, they're going to take about half the people that show up to phase 2 for testing. So pretty good odds. But then again, everybody that's showing up to phase 2, they're pretty good people. They've been picked out of the masses. They're the ones that either got lucky and or had good enough scores and qualifications that they were selected because they are potential FBI agent material. So, but again, half of those people at that point, roughly, don't make it. So, you know, it's still tough. You know, a coin flip is still far from a sure thing. But again, you're getting much closer at that point through the process. So the way I prepared was not only reading interview questions and thinking about the answers, but I literally wrote down the questions and wrote down answers to probably a couple of dozen, maybe 30 common interview questions, such as, you know, if name a time that you were proud of a leadership accomplishment, or name a time that you were significantly challenged to meet a deadline. Those kind of things. They sound like simple questions, but if you haven't thought about it and really at least somewhat rehearsed an answer, then you're going to kind of stumble during the interview portion. So I wrote down these questions. I wrote down detailed answers, and just through the process of writing, those answers kind of burned in my brain. And I tried to cover a wide range of topics and, again, common interview questions, but I knew that the answers I was coming up with might be able to apply to, you know, to the questions that the FBI might ask. And that process did help me. It's not perfect. It's not going to give you all the magic answers that you need. It's not just your everyday job interview, but that definitely did help me through the process. Also, what helped me is I recorded myself answering questions. So I'd throw out a question, pretending that there were 3 FBI agents watching me, and then I practiced talking to the camera and providing my responses. I don't love talking to cameras. Again, apologize for those of you watching, can probably tell that I would never make a very good newscaster, but you do need to be able to talk to people, look them in the eye, give good answers, and they're sitting back, not so much, this is just me guessing about this, but I've never participated on the other side of the fence as being an FBI agent asking recruits. But if I had to guess, I would say the FBI agents, that panel of 3, they're not really so much interested in what the exact content of your answer is, as long as it's somewhat reasonable. They don't care if my leadership example, if that was one of the questions they asked, which I don't think it was, but if they had, do they care that my leadership was leading a corporate team when the guy before me was a special forces guy that had saved hostages, which quite likely was possible? Sure. Yeah, the special forces guy, that's great. But if I was able to present to them and speak to them in a reasonable manner and be able to convey my point, I think that scores more points with them, so to speak, than just the content of the answer. So again, FBI agents, this is a legal process. You have to talk to juries. You have to address judges, attorneys. You got to get search warrants, and you need to be able to speak professionally. And some FBI agents, their whole job is to speak to the media. So yeah, you've got to be able to speak professionally, at least to some degree. You don't have to be the next great politician or what have you, or, be the president of the debate club. Again, I'm so far from that. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum of that. But I can at least talk intelligently to people. And by going through that process of recording myself and trying to evaluate myself honestly, then I was able to make a few corrections, try to cut down on the number of uhs. I still do that. Again, my apologies, but you can do some things to improve the way that you speak and deliver. So it's not all about the content of the answers, but my advice would be to focus on your delivery. So that's pretty much the deal on phase 2. My case, they flew 6 of us to go to another city. Had to fly a few hours, go to another city, and it was an overnight trip kind of thing. And it was one of the most stressful and intense moments of my life, going through that interview process, and also taking the written test, although it's much more comfortable doing that. But yeah, knowing I was going to go be, questioned by 3 FBI agents was quite intimidating. And again, I was glad and grateful for every minute that I'd spent in preparing, which was quite a few. So bottom line, just come prepared and do your best. And, realize also that part of this is luck. And I'll say this throughout. If you don't make it, it's not the end of the world. I'm sure there are plenty of people that would have been much better qualified and better suited to the position than I was. I got hired. So I guess that's good news for some of you watching. Anybody can make it through the process that has, reasonable qualifications, reasonably intelligent, and can reasonably present themselves. So anyway, good luck. Thanks for tuning in for this episode, and we'll talk to you for the next one.